Welcome to the training on how to establish and maintain regular and effective contact in the online learning environment. Let's dive in. After this training, you should be able to define regular and effective contact within an accreditation context, explain why regular and effective contact is necessary in an online class, use the built-in asynchronous tools in Canvas to establish regular and effective contact with your students, and enable additional synchronous tools and use them in Canvas to establish regular and effective contact with your students. So let's start with a definition. Regular and effective contact is referred to as regular and substantive interaction by the ACCJC Accreditation Agency and the Department of Education. This interaction is what the accreditation team looks for in online and hybrid courses. Specifically, they're looking for discussion board interaction and announcements and other means of communicating with your students. Regular and effective contact is also a requirement of Title V. Section 55204 states that any portion of a course conducted through distance education includes regular effective contact between instructor and students. To be considered regular effective contact, the contact with students in online and hybrid classes must be instructor-initiated, with expectations for methods used and timelines clearly established and communicated to students. In addition to Title V requirements, it's also important for federal financial aid. Students can't always receive federal financial aid for correspondence courses, and if there is no regular effective contact in a DE course, the course is considered a correspondence course. In addition to accreditation, Title V, and financial aid requirements, we require this here at Hartnell College in our own policies. You can check out Administrative Policy Number 4105, which describes the college policy and expectations and outlines multiple ways to contact students. So now that we know why it's required, let's talk about what regular contact actually looks like. Regular contact means just that, regular. It's not one single communication, it's ongoing, and it should be maintained over the course of the week. It should also be aligned with the contact hours from the course outline. The type of contact can be synchronous or asynchronous. You'll hear these terms a lot when referring to distance education courses. Synchronous contact refers to contact that is happening in real time, like an online live chat or a live-streamed lecture. Asynchronous contact, on the other hand, refers to contact that happens at different times, like posting an announcement at 5 p.m. that a student logs in and then reads at 7 p.m. You contacted them at 5, and they received that contact 2 hours later, so it's asynchronous. Another important aspect of this to consider is the need to manage your students' expectations for contact early on. How can they contact you? When can they expect a response? When are your office hours? These are all important to communicate to your students so they know what to expect throughout your course. These guidelines should be included somewhere in your syllabus at a minimum. Another great place to include these guidelines is in your Canvas profile. Every time you post an announcement or discussion in your Canvas course, your profile icon shows up right next to it. When students click your profile photo, they'll be able to see those guidelines so they know how to contact you and when to expect a response. So let's talk more about asynchronous contact and different ways we can do that using the built-in tools already in Canvas. One idea is to use the Assignments tool to create a check-in type assignment. It could be an icebreaker activity or even just a mandatory syllabus quiz. This is a great option for early on in your classes since it gives you a chance to see who isn't participating in your course. Not only is this helpful for that 72-hour drop period, but it also gives you the opportunity to target and reach out to students who are not yet involved who might benefit from that contact. Another tool you can use is the Discussions tool. If you post weekly discussion prompts in your online or hybrid courses, it gives you a space where you can interact with your students and is automatically considered instructor-initiated contact. A good practice is to do your best to respond to 1 out of every 3 students. More is even better, but you want to focus on quality of interaction. Don't just post "I agree." Instead, take the opportunity to deepen the discussion and to further your students' investigation of the material. The same goes for the feedback you'll provide to your students. It's nice to validate that they're doing a good job in the course, certainly, but you want to focus on substantive feedback that pushes them to learn. And timeliness is important. Ideally, provide substantive feedback within a week or so. Sooner is always better, but quality feedback takes time. And do be cautious if you're implementing publisher-created assignments that give automatic grades. Even though automatic grading is fast, it can close the door to an opportunity to provide tailored feedback that can make your students really connect with the material. Announcements, as mentioned earlier, are one of the items that the ACCJC specifically looks for when evaluating regular and effective contact in distance ed courses. It's important to regularly reach out to your students using the announcements tool, but again, quality is critical. Reminder announcements are helpful, but the content should be academic in nature, not just a reminder of an upcoming quiz, for example. Instead, post an announcement with a reminder about the quiz, along with helpful links to study materials. That's much more effective and useful for your students. Another great tool to use is the Canvas inbox. This is where you can send messages to your students individually, or you can even send a single message to an entire course or section within that course. This is a great place to keep records, as it's easier to find messages in your Canvas inbox as opposed to wading through your Hartnell email account. Finally, you can use the Groups functionality within Canvas to create and moderate small groups. Student groups function like mini courses, in that students can create their own Canvas pages and discussions and files within their groups. This gives you a space where you can interact with each small group. These are all just a few ideas for ways you can have asynchronous contact with your students. There are even more ideas in the Hartnell Administrative Policy. Here is a preview of Part 1 of the assignment you'll complete. You'll need to create an announcement or a discussion post, and those details are available in your course. Let's move on to learn more about our synchronous contact options. As we learned earlier, synchronous contact is all about the live, real-time communication. Some of these tools are already built into Canvas, but need an extra step to be enabled in your courses. We'll go over those steps in the second activity on the next screen. For now, let's talk more about those methods and how they can be used in your course. First, we have live chat. Live chat is a great option for hosting office hours, study sessions, general Q&A forums, post-exam questions, and more. If you enable the live chat tool in Canvas, it provides a link in the left navigation called Chat, where students can click to participate in the chat. A benefit of this tool is that students can all review the previous chat sessions, as there's no way to delete the live chat messages, so those great Q&A questions are all available even if a student misses a session. That being said, you don't want to use this tool to discuss student grades, etc., as it's open to other students. And the good news is that you can always disable the tool if needed. Another way to do live chat outside of Canvas is to use Google Hangouts. You have access to Google Hangouts through your Hartnell Gmail account, and so do your students. They just need to add you to Hangouts with your email address. We won't go into detail about how Hangouts works in this particular training, but you can always learn more and register for training on the PDC website. Web conferencing is the next option for synchronous communication with your students. You can use this for the same purposes that you would use live chat, but there are usually many more features. For example, Confer Zoom in Cranium Cafe can be used to broadcast live lectures to your students, and you can share your computer screen and webcam so students see your lecture PowerPoint slides and your face as you walk them through the lecture content. You can even record your live lectures and post them in your course so students can view them later. One note about web conferencing tools. Confer Zoom or Cranium Cafe both can be enabled so that they're built directly into your Canvas course, and more details are available in the assignment section of this course. The only downfall with using the built-in versions is that sometimes you'll have limited capabilities with it. But the good news is that you don't have to use the built-in versions. You can simply post the links to your live lecture space, whether it's Confer Zoom or Cranium Cafe, or links to your recordings in your course to get full functionality. Keep in mind, web conferencing tools tend to be subject to change. For example, Confer Zoom is currently being paid for by a grant at the Chancellor's office, and it's gone through 3 name changes already. Cranium Cafe is the other current tool being funded through the Online Education Initiative grant, and that is subject to change at any time. If those tools don't work for you, you can always use Google Hangouts or even Skype. The important takeaway from this is that there are multiple tools you can use for web conferencing, and they all work to establish synchronous contact with your students. If all else fails, there's nothing wrong with using your phone. Provide your office phone number for students to call during your office hours, or set up a Google Voice number, which will mask your real cell phone number. This gives you a way to distribute your phone number without worrying about students having too much of your personal information. Remember to document your contact, no matter which tool you use. You can record your sessions with most web conferencing software, or you can always take a screenshot and note dates and times, just in case. Keep those records for 2 years and you'll be set. We're almost to the finish line. Here's a preview of part 2 of the assignment you'll complete. You'll need to enable one of the synchronous contact tools in your practice course, and the steps for how to complete this task are available in your Tech Tools course. Think about which tool you'll use and what features you'd like to take advantage of. Are there any challenges you're afraid you might encounter when setting up or using any one of these tools? We made it to the end. Today, we learned what regular and effective contact is and why it's necessary in online classes. You now know some of the synchronous tools built into Canvas that can be used to establish regular and effective contact with your students. You're also familiar with some additional synchronous tools that can be enabled within Canvas to establish regular and effective contact with your students. You may now proceed to the quiz by clicking Next to test your knowledge.